In the headlines of this hour on VTV News. State President works with Ministry of National Defense on streamlining and strengthening the military for the future. Later on, driving breakthrough growth with transformational policies. And in a world news, Russian army enters Ukrainian territory, crossing the state border in Kursk.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time and you're tuning into 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dinh Lê with the latest updates. Now on the top news of this hour, State President Leung Keung held a working session on Thursday with the Ministry of National Defense to review the implementation of Politburo Resolution 5 on reorganizing the Vietnam People's Army for the 2021 to 2030 period and beyond.
The Central Military Commission and the Ministry of National Defense have methodically restructured the armed forces, balancing organization with policy and ideology to ensure unity throughout the military. The process involved dissolving, merging, and establishing new units, eliminating overlapping functions, and optimizing force deployment across Vietnam's 3 regions and 5 operational environments. Strategic personnel reinforcements were also made for newly established units and those tasked with training and combat readiness. State President commended the military leadership for thoroughly implementing Resolution 5, reflecting the directives of Party General Secretary To Lump.
Our target for 2021 to 2025 was to build a streamlined, powerful army, and we achieved this 1 year ahead of schedule in 2024. This restructuring focused on enhancing quality, managing extensive personnel adjustments, and fostering internal consensus, demonstrates the military's role as a model institution, as noted by late Party General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong and reaffirmed by Party General Secretary To Lump.
Looking ahead, State President urged the Central Military Commission and the Ministry of National Defense to continuously assess evolving conditions and propose appropriate adjustments for further implementing Resolution 5. He emphasized that the Army must excel as a combat force, a workforce, and a production unit, capable of prevailing in any situation. The military is also expected to exemplify adherence to the party's directives in building a streamlined, strong, efficient, and effective political system. This includes upholding principles such as multitasking agencies and clear accountability, and maintaining the party's absolute leadership over all military affairs.
On Thursday morning, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn chaired a conference to announce the decision to establish inspection delegations of the Politburo and the Secretariat for 2025 for the government's Party Committee and the Party Committee of the National Assembly. Accordingly, the National Assembly Chairman will lead the inspection of the government's Party Committee, while the Prime Minister will lead the inspection of the Party Committee of the National Assembly. The focus will be summarizing political system reform, preparing for party congresses ahead of the 14th National Congress, and enforcing Resolution number 57 on science, technology, innovation, and digital transformation. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính on Thursday issued a directive on proactively implementing measures to promote the circular economy, sustainable production and consumption, and sustainable trade in line with the European Union's green policies. The Prime Minister assigned specific tasks to ministries, sectors, localities, associations, and businesses, focusing on policy development and complying with international standards. The Prime Minister also highlighted the need to review and adapt to EU Green Deal policies to guide and support businesses. Now, on Thursday morning, the government held a thematic session on lawmaking in February, discussing several important legislative matters. Members reviewed 7 draft laws: the law on state of emergency, the law on product and goods quality, the law on railways amended, the law on judicial assistance in civil matters, the law on extradition, the law on transfer of persons serving prison sentences, and the law on protection of personal data. These crucial draft laws aim to strengthen judicial assistance in criminal law, extradition, and prisoner transfers, improve emergency response capabilities, and enhance state management of product and goods quality. The 9th extraordinary session of the National Assembly concluded on Wednesday with 4 laws and 18 resolutions passed. These measures aim to swiftly address current challenges and lay a crucial foundation for socio-economic breakthroughs in the coming years.
The National Assembly approved 6 key resolutions to spur socio-economic development, including special mechanisms and policies to boost science and technology, and several major national projects.
These resolutions represent major breakthroughs for development. Infrastructure remains a top concern, particularly in energy with the proposed Ninh Thuận nuclear power plant and transportation projects such as the Hanoi-Lao Cai and Haiphong railways, along with urban rail lines in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. I am confident we will see remarkable progress in the years ahead.
Additionally, the National Assembly adjusted this year's socio-economic development plan, targeting GDP growth of 8% or higher. Key strategies include completing institutional reforms, enhancing law enforcement, developing modern strategic infrastructure, unlocking public investment resources, advancing administrative reforms, improving the investment climate, and fostering new growth drivers. However, sustaining high-quality growth remains a priority.
GDP growth must be sustainable to truly improve people's lives. From central to local levels, all government bodies must implement solutions synchronously. Every official, civil servant, and National Assembly deputy must accompany the government in this endeavor.
We must monitor environmental impacts, citizen welfare, and equitable development as we grow. I hope the National Assembly, local authorities, and the public will play an active role in overseeing not only the pace, but also the quality of growth across regions and sectors.
The government's Resolution 25 on this year's growth targets mandates that 18 provinces and cities must strive for at least 10% growth. These growth benchmarks were assigned to ensure a national economic growth rate of 8% or higher this year is achievable. Local authorities must mobilize and effectively utilize investment capital to meet these goals.
According to the General Statistics Office, for GDP growth to reach 8% or more, the total realized social investment must increase by at least 16% compared to last year. Public investment plays a crucial role, with every 1% increase in disbursement contributing an additional 0.06 percentage points to GDP growth. This year, public investment is estimated at over $34 billion USD, posing significant challenges from the outset.
We have instructed an early start on implementation steps and assigned clear accountability for public investment disbursement. Authorities and the political system must work together.
The law on government organization has granted greater authority to localities. I believe we will successfully implement this year's public investment plan with this approach.
Foreign direct investment currently accounts for about 20% of Vietnam's GDP. This year, FDI inflows need to reach approximately 28 billion USD. Early year figures are promising, with over 4 billion USD in registered FDI in the first month.
We prioritize institutional reform. Even before businesses finalize investment decisions, we actively engage and assist them.
Meanwhile, due to unfavorable global market conditions, private investment growth has been sluggish in recent years. Credit expansion is being deployed to support private enterprises as a short-term solution.
With a credit growth cap set at 24% this year, the government plans to inject approximately 7 billion USD into the market, which is already set for disbursement.
In addition, encouraging new business formation and creating more favorable conditions for private enterprises are key priorities. Strict management of investment flows is necessary to minimize risks in volatile sectors and prevent inflationary pressures.
Coming up next on VTV News. Mobilizing capital from stock markets to drive infrastructure development. And later on, Water is Life project provides essential water equipment to thousands of women. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now on to other important updates. Asia-Pacific economies are projected to grow by about 4% this year, with Vietnam expected to achieve growth exceeding 8%. Capital mobilization through the stock market is considered a pivotal solution to reach this ambitious target. This recommendation was highlighted at the International Organization of Securities Commission, or IOSCO conference in Da Nang.
Experiences from various countries show that achieving ambitious growth targets often requires robust investment in infrastructure, science, and technology.
When the economy faced challenges, infrastructure projects were severely impacted. In contrast, capital mobilized from the stock market offers diversity, lower costs, and greater flexibility.
Infrastructure projects typically require long-term funding. Medium and short-term capital from the banking system is unlikely to fully meet this demand, reflecting a global trend.
Capital mobilization from equity and bond markets is indispensable alongside bank credit when financing large-scale infrastructure projects, such as nuclear power plants, high-speed railways, or sustainable growth initiatives.
Infrastructure projects typically require long-term funding, often spanning 20 to 30 years. Medium and short-term capital from the banking system is unlikely to fully meet this demand, reflecting a global trend. Attracting indirect capital flows, particularly by facilitating listed infrastructure enterprises to raise medium and long-term capital through public bond issuances, is crucial. The Asia-Pacific region is expected to attract nearly 40% of global cross-border capital flows. Notably, listed companies that meet green growth standards are expected to draw significant interest from international investors.
The chair of the Hanoi People's Committee, Chen Sih-Teng, has requested that the Hanoi Biological High-Tech Park project commence on September the 2nd during a progress review meeting. Granted an investment certificate in 2008, the project faced delays due to administrative boundary adjustments. Now, key legal and procedural issues have been resolved, allowing the project to move forward. The Mekong Delta is currently nearing the peak of its dry season. Prolonged heat waves are exposing large forested areas to dangerous fire risk levels. As drought conditions are expected to persist, local authorities have intensified wildfire prevention efforts.
In the Bay Nui region, extreme heat has rapidly dried the forests. Many areas have turned yellowish-brown with withered vegetation and dead vines.
One of the biggest challenges is the region's mountainous terrain. During the dry season, water reservoirs on mountaintops often run dry.
In Ting Bien Town and Tri Ton District, 7 large reservoirs with capacities ranging from 10,000 to 20,000 cubic meters have been established.
These 6-meter-deep reservoirs allow forest rangers to fill water tanks at the foot of the mountains, allowing us to respond more effectively if a fire breaks out.
The Provincial Forest Management Board has hired workers to keep these tanks full for rapid fire response.
The province has also deployed fire pumps, portable firefighting equipment. In high-risk areas, patrol teams are on duty 24/7.
Forest owners are instructed to maintain water levels in canals to ensure sufficient supply in case of emergencies.
Beyond equipment and personnel, Anjang forest rangers have constructed fire breaks, cleared undergrowth, and carried out controlled burns to reduce fuel loads.
Over the past years, tens of thousands of people in Ninh Thuận and Cà Mau provinces have had new access to clean water in response to the impacts of drought and saltwater intrusion. That is thanks to the Water is Life project coordinated by UN Women with funding from the government of Japan. Essential equipment such as water tanks, water filtration systems, and water-saving irrigation equipment have been distributed to more than 1,500 women and 10 schools and health stations, benefiting tens of thousands. Historical treasures preserved in museums often struggle to reach the general public. However, the Imperial Archaeological Chronicles project in Hue City is bringing national treasures closer to the public, especially the younger generation, through a special edition souvenir set integrating modern technology.
Young people are excited to explore miniature versions of national treasures at the Interior Ministry in the Imperial City of Hue. Participants will discover treasures hidden in plaster blocks like this.
The first time I tried, I found the throne. Reimagined miniature cultural product engages today's youth, offering a fresh take on preservation and inspiring them to share Vietnamese culture globally.
Inspired by the 4 treasures of the ancient capital of Hue, including the Great Bell at Thiên Mục Pagoda, the cannon, the tripod cauldron, and the throne of the Nguyen dynasty, Imperial Archaeological Chronicles is a creative project blending collection artistry with technology to produce high-quality cultural products. Each replica is embedded with a unique chip for authentication. When scanned via smartphone, owners can verify authenticity, explore the creation process, and learn about the treasure's historical and cultural significance.
We hope to bring national treasures closer to the public and those who love cultural history.
More than just a game, the Imperial Archaeological Chronicles is not only a business venture. Its exquisite design and deep symbolic value resonate with history and culture enthusiasts, to young people eager to connect with their national heritage.
International searches for Vietnam tourism destinations have increased by 45% in the past 2 weeks, according to Google Destination Insights. Tourists from the US, Australia, India, Japan, and South Korea show the highest search interest in Vietnam. The most popular destinations among international tourists include Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, Da Nang, Phu Quoc, Nha Trang, and Vũng Tàu. This rising search trend helps elevate Vietnam's tourism brand globally while demonstrating the country's diverse tourism offerings that cater to modern travelers' preferences. Every year following the Lunar New Year, lush green seaweed fields appear along Ninh Thuận coastlines. These vibrant seaweed beds serve a dual purpose, providing vital income for local residents while attracting nature lovers and photographers to this stunning destination. When the tide is at its lowest in Từ Thiện Village, Phước Dinh Commune, Thuận Nam District, Ninh Thuận Province, emerald seaweed fields blanket the coral reefs. This verdant expanse stretches across nearly a kilometer of coastline.
The green seaweed fields are so peaceful and scenic.
The seaweed season in Ninh Thuận usually lasts from February to May. For the best views of these seaweed fields, visit during early morning hours at mid-lunar month when the tide reaches its lowest point.
It's a once-a-year experience, and the untouched beauty of this place brings me back every time. The green of the seaweed is so relaxing after a busy week of work.
The seaweed fields are also a significant source of income for local people.
On a good day, we can earn a few hundred or at least 100 to 200,000 Vietnamese dong.
People of all ages delight in the refreshing green scenery and the chance to explore the vibrant marine life hidden beneath the seaweed. Visitors to Ningtuan during seaweed season often share a common sentiment. This region offers more than just sunshine and wind. It's home to a tranquil, emerald landscape that soothes the soul. Coming up next in our world news. Russian army enters Ukrainian territory, crossing state border in Kursk. And later on, interest rate cuts on hold until inflation improves, according to Fed. Now moving over to our world news, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Wednesday that the Russian army has crossed the state border in the Kursk region and entered Ukrainian territory. He also said that the Russian army was marching along the entire front. Meanwhile, Colonel General Sergei Rutskoy, head of the main operational directorate of the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, declared that the Russian army had regained control of more than 800 square kilometers of the Kursk region. However, Ukraine has dismissed claims of a large-scale Russian military operation, stating instead that only a small Russian reconnaissance group attempted to infiltrate Ukrainian territory. Russian forces previously attacked Sumy province in February 2022, but withdrew after 6 weeks. China has launched its first repatriation operation for citizens who were victims of forced labor in online scam centers along the Thailand-Myanmar border. Around 200 Chinese nationals involved in online gambling, telecom fraud, and other criminal activities were handed over by Myanmar authorities through legal procedures via Thailand earlier on Thursday. The Chinese nationals were transported to Mae Sot Airport in western Thailand for their return flights to China. Over the next 3 days, China has arranged 16 flights to repatriate 600 citizens from Mae Sot. The U.S. Federal Reserve, or Fed, pressed pause on benchmark interest rate cuts in January. According to recently released minutes of the 28th to 29th of January meeting, the pause will likely be in place if the economy remains strong and inflation stays high. With employment levels near their peak, the Fed indicated that they would want to see further progress on inflation before making additional adjustments to the target range for the federal fund rate. The minute also cited uncertainty surrounding President Donald Trump's trade and immigration policies as a reason to hold off on rate reductions. As of February 2025, the U.S. has implemented several significant tariff policies under President Donald Trump's administration. In response, several countries have intensified diplomatic engagements with Washington. These efforts aim to negotiate mutually beneficial trade agreements and avoid the negative effects of retaliatory tariffs.
The European Union's top trade officials said on February 19th that the bloc was interested in making mutually beneficial trade deals with U.S. President Donald Trump. Maros Sefcovic, EU Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, expressed hope that the bloc could avoid unilateral U.S. tariffs and European retaliation.
I firmly believe that it makes sense for both the EU and the U.S. to work together to strengthen this relationship and expand into new areas.
The EU was also ready to discuss the potential for reducing or eliminating tariffs on motor vehicles and other goods.
So if we are going to talking about lowering the tariffs, even eliminating the tariffs, let's say for industrial products, this will be something which we are ready to discuss.
The South Korean government has been communicating with the United States on the latter's plan to impose new tariffs as part of efforts to reduce uncertainties for domestic industries. The South Korean Trade Ministry also called for stronger cooperation between the government and think tanks to devise a response strategy. Meanwhile, Japanese Economy, Trade and Industry Minister Yoji Muto is arranging a visit to the United States to ask the U.S. government to exempt Japanese products from higher tariffs.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To re-watch our program, you can visit our website or go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4go or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.